she wrote. Murder, she wrote.
Welcome to TYT. I am your host for today, Anahit Misak Kasparian, and joining me is Cenk Abdullah Uygur. Is that your middle name, Cenk? I forgot what it was.
No, I didn't realize we were going ethnic today. No, technically my middle name is Kadir.
Oh, Kadir, that's right. I don't know where Abdullah came from.
That's because my grandfather's name was Abdul Kadir.
Oh, that's right. I do remember something like that. But I was asked by an Armenian today at a store why I never refer to myself by my true name. So from now on, I will go by Anahit Misak Kasparian on the show for my Armenians.
Okay, first of all, disaster. Second of all, Misak is not even the funniest part of that, although it's quite funny. Your pronunciation of Kasparian is my favorite part. Sounds like a Star Trek character. No, here comes the Kasparian.
I know, and that's a difficult thing about saying my name. If I were to Americanize my entire name, it would be Anahit Kasparian, and it would sound disastrous. So I'd rather go with Anahit Kasparian. And it sounds a little better.
Okay, I hate to extend it more, but do you get run into by an Armenian every day that watches the show? It happens so much, and they know exactly who you are and why they have beef with you.
I don't run into a lot of Armenians. I get a lot of emails from Armenians. This was one of the rare instances where I ran into an Armenian woman. She actually really loves the show. She's a huge fan. She just doesn't like the fact that I Americanize my name, and I refer to myself as Anna. But I've referred to myself as Anna since the beginning of time. So it's not like I did it just for this show.
Right.
So,
and, I didn't simplify my name to Cenk Uygur for the sake of the show either. But you know what? I get crap for it too, because the correct pronunciation of Uyghur in Turkish is Uyghur.
Right.
And they're like, why don't you say it the right way? And I'm like, yeah, okay, you get an American to say Uyghur and see how that turns out for you. Uyghur. That's like 10 times worse than Kasparian.
I think Kasparian sounds pretty badass, to be honest with you, but...
It does. You guys are the characters in Star Trek that are like irreconcilably violent.
Mm-hmm.
Like
that.
Yeah, they're like, no, you can't deal with the Kasparians. Every time you think you got a deal, they'll backstab you and, rip your head off.
All right. Cenk, so you did MSNBC again today. That's why you're on Skype. That's why you're in New York. Tell me a little bit about what happened on the show today. I heard Michael Schur made an appearance. Yesterday you had Ben Mankiewicz on. So tell me what's going on. I don't know. I have a hard time pronouncing Ben's last name sometimes. Mankiewicz.
Mankiewicz.
I still did it wrong. Go ahead. But anyway, how was today's show?
You don't know how to say Ben's last name. What is today's last name day?
Mankiewicz. There you go.
Mankiewicz, there you go. Okay, yeah, Michael was on the show, and he ripped it apart. Like, he was up against a conservative. He reached into the conservative's stomach, ripped his guts out, and showed it to him. And he's like, that's how Michael Schur rolls. No, he was fine. Everything was good. And the show was fun. We stole a couple of topics from yesterday that you did and put them in the show. And it was awesome. What are you talking about? Oh, here was the interesting part of today's MSNBC show. I sided with Republicans not once, not twice, but 3 different times.
Really?
What am I? Am I not the most reasonable man in America?
I don't know. It depends on what those reasons were. But give me one of the reasons why you sided with Republicans.
Well, you're going to hate me, but the California immigration issue, where they say if you're in-state illegal immigrant, you will be able to get in-state tuition. And I think if you're an illegal immigrant, you shouldn't get the same rights as a citizen. So I sided with the Republicans.
Mm-hmm. No, look, I think that that's a really complex issue, and it's not something that you can be cut and dry about. Okay, so we've had this discussion on the show before. I remember we talked about one illegal immigrant who wanted to go to college. She had straight A's. She was like the class valedictorian, but she couldn't get any financial aid for college because she was an illegal immigrant. I think in certain cases like that, a little financial aid would be okay, but in the grand scheme of things, I do agree with you. Like, we can't just allow any illegal immigrant to have state funding or federal funding to go to college. It doesn't make sense, especially considering the fact that we're not even funding our own citizens to go to college. So,
Right.
reasonable. I agree with reasonable there.
All right, you see that? That's how I roll. All right, listen, if you want to see all other things that were surprising, fascinating, shocking, and what I agree with the Republicans on, well, damn it, watch the MSNBC show at 3 o'clock. What's the matter with you? Come on, let's go. Let's do it. Just do it already.
All right. I want to start with our first story. Prince William is engaged. He just got engaged to his longtime girlfriend, Catherine Middleton, who is referred to as a commoner in this story that I read.
Hold.
Yes.
No, I already love that part. Like, before I read the story, I was like, yeah, it's English, the prince, but who cares, right? And then I read the story, and I loved it. Commoner. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on, British people. Come on, get past the 15th century. Okay?
No, but,
really?
But what's insane is she's not a commoner at all. I mean, there's nothing common about her. She comes from a wealthy family. I mean, her family is self-made. Her mother began a business where she sells party favors and goodie bags to people who are having parties or whatever. I don't understand how that turns into a multi-million-dollar business, but it did. So it's not like, Catherine Middleton comes from a middle-class family. She comes from a wealthy family, and I don't think that it's fair to label her a commoner.
No, Anna, you're missing it. First of all, goodie bags. How common, right? Second of all, no. In Great Britain, that has a meaning, like you're come from royalty, lords, etc., etc. I don't know their whole ridiculous system. It doesn't matter how rich you are. It's not a matter of being upper class or lower class. If you weren't a lord to begin with, your genes suck. You have commoner genes. And it doesn't matter how many goodie bags you sell, you'll always be a commoner.
No.
And that's why the whole system is revolting. The fact that they're even having a conversation about it, I know they don't really believe it anymore, don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. But the fact that we're even entertaining this conversation is the height of absurdity.
No. I absolutely understand. I know that that's why they refer to them as commoners. But the fact that you can be a multi-millionaire in England and you're still referred to as a commoner is crazy. Like, it's all about who you were born from and who your parents are and who your ancestors are. That's insane. But anyway, and look, this is one specific article, okay? It's not like England is referring to her as a commoner. It's just this one AOL article. So let me...
Well, a lot of people do. And as that article explains, Anna, and I've seen in other places, it's not all of England by a long shot. Most people like her a lot, right? Mm-hmm. But some in the upper class, they're like, oh, please. She's not even, royalty or lords or whatever the hell they have, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not a crazy interpretation. They really believe that, madness.
Yeah.
Some do.
That's crazy. Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit about their relationship. Apparently, Prince William and Catherine Middleton met one another when they were attending the University of St. Andrews in Scotland. And she was a huge fan of Prince William to begin with. She apparently had a poster in her room of him and would say things like, oh, look at him, he looks so nice. He looks like he'd be a nice guy. So as soon as she saw him in college, she was like, done, gonna get him, gonna marry him. So they were dating on and off for about 7.5 years. And, they had a very brief breakup in 2007 because she was like, come on, when are we gonna get married? Where's the ring? And, he would give interviews and he would say, look, I'm not interested in getting married until I'm 28 or, 30. And she didn't want to wait around, so they had a very brief breakup, but then they got back together. And now that he's 28, he has proposed, and they're going to get married.
All right. There's two ways to interpret her having his poster, etc. Crazy stalker, okay? And, obsessed with, I got to marry the prince, and that's kind of creepy. The second interpretation is, when she sets her sights on something, she gonna get it done, okay?
Right.
I mean, she locked on Target. She acquired Target. She annihilated Target. Okay.
It's a little admirable. It's a little admirable.
Yeah, exactly. She knows what to get. But here's another twist that I love. Like, in the beginning, she's got his picture on the wall. She's looking up at him. Oh my God, Prince William is so great. But of course, after they go out for a while, she's like, "Oh, please, okay, what am I doing with this guy?" Right? And she has this quote at one point that she was overheard saying, "He's so lucky to be going out with me."
Oh, I know. I love that. That's actually my favorite part of the story, because here's some of the few things that we know about Catherine Middleton. First of all, she doesn't like to give interviews, okay? So she doesn't talk to the press very often. And apparently she was having a discussion with one of her friends, and someone overheard her, a member of the press overheard her say that. "Oh, he's so lucky to be going out with me." But here's the thing with that. I mean, it's one sentence. Who knows what context it was in? We don't know if she was actually referring to Prince William, or if there was something else going on, or if she was talking about, or if she was quoting someone else. I mean, there's a million other things that could be happening.
No. Not buying.
But if she did say that, get it, girl. Get it.
No, this is the problem with women. Okay? Like, in the beginning, like, you're like a deity, right? And she's, like, looking up at him, like, into the sky, and she's Prince Charming and the whole thing. By the end, she's so used to you. I mean, who's this guy? He's lucky to be in my presence, you know? So, women, what are you going to do with him?
Do you know why? Do you want to know why, Jink?
Why?
I mean, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter how much money you have. You still wake up with bad breath. You still go in the bathroom as a dude, and you leave hair everywhere. You shave, and you don't care about cleaning up. You leave your dishes out, and she's like, "I'm so tired of cleaning up after you, nasty bastard." I don't care who you are. Eventually,
Yes.
they get tired of how nasty. They're just a normal dude, because that's all we are anyway. And people worship normal people. That's all there is to it, really. And number two, did we ever really think when she bluffed and said, "Are you gonna marry me, or do I have to leave?" She wasn't going anywhere.
Right. What is she gonna do? Really?
Nowhere.
Really? Are you gonna upgrade from the prince? Really? Like.
Yeah. Look, if I was Prince William, here's how I would have played it. Hey, listen, I'm motherfucking Prince Charming, okay? So you either, do as I say, or you get. You gotta know how to rough talk him and run him off, man. You're a motherfucking prince.
Right.
You gotta use that right.
Now, in regard to what JR said, he's absolutely right. In fact, I read a quote a couple weeks ago, and the quote was this: "For every man that you're infatuated with, there's a woman who's sick and tired of him." And it's so true. It's so true. So it agrees with what JR just said right now. Like, when you meet a guy, you don't know what his habits are. You don't know what his downfalls are. And you think he's like the best thing in the world. And then you date him for a couple of years, and you're like, yeah, he's lucky to be dating me. So.
Oh, women, what are you going to do with him? Of course, not in my case. Every day,
Right.
Every day Wendy's like, "Oh, I am so lucky to be..." I can't even pull it off. and JR leaving hairs behind. Are you crazy? Me? No, never.
All right, let's get to my favorite story of the day. I can't even wait to tease this or anything. I'm going to do it right now. The Chronicle of Higher Education did this incredible story about someone who refers to himself as the Shadow Scholar. Now, the article does not share his identity, so we don't know who he is specifically. But he wrote this incredible article about how he gets paid $2,000 or more to write essays and papers for college students. Now, this is not news. This is something that we've heard about before. But people are so unaware of how often this happens, okay? It's not one college student for every 1,000. This Shadow Scholar says that he has made a very, very good living doing what he does. In fact, he made $66,000 last year just by writing papers for college students who want to cheat, okay? So, first of all, let me just tell you that the reason why this is so problematic is because there are so many people in college right now getting higher education that know nothing, that cannot construct a simple sentence. And he gives an example of that. One of the people that came to him and asked him to write a paper was this one business major. And the business major, he quotes verbatim in his article, okay? So she emails him several times, and she asks him for help on this paper on business ethics, okay? How funny is that? So, so that's the topic of the paper. So I have some of her emails. I want you guys to read it. I'm going to read them verbatim. you guys are going to be amazed at how many grammatical and spelling errors there are in each sentence. So let's put the graphic up. First one is, you did me business ethics proposal for me. I need proposal, got approved. Please, can you will write me paper? That was the first email that she sent. And amazingly enough, he actually understood that sentence because he deals with so many people who are like this.
But Anna, look, when you see that email, you see she really needs him. He's providing a real service. Makes sense.
Oh my God, this is incredible. Let me continue. Another email she writes had to do with sources. And she writes, did you get the source I send? Please, where are you now? Where you are now, I'm sorry. Disparate, she meant to write desperate, to pass spring project, or project. So that's her spelling, that's verbatim, that's what she wrote in the email. Next one, thanks you so much for the chapter is going very good. The professor likes it, but wants the following suggestions. Please, what do you think? I mean, that, it's incredible. And look, I'm actually reading the words, you know, the correct way. She spells so many things wrong. You wouldn't understand what I'm saying if I were to read them the way she spelled it. But, go ahead, Jake.
Here's what I don't understand, Anna. The professor, right? Like, she comes up to him and hands in this presumably a very good paper that the Shadow Scholar wrote. But as she's talking to him, she's like, here, take paper. It is good. I am good major. Please, help. Like, it's the professor like, wait a minute now. How did this lady write this paper? See what I'm saying?
Right. No, I do see what you're saying. And one of the arguments that the Shadow Scholar makes is that professors have such a heavy workload and they're so busy with so many different students that they don't have the resources to investigate things. So they're not paying close enough attention. So, you know, oftentimes a student will come up to them and look, even if you have a hard time writing, you can still communicate verbally, right? These students obviously have an issue constructing sentences on paper. Okay, so with this particular student, she first came to the Shadow Scholar asking for help on the ethics paper, right? After he wrote the ethics paper, the professor needed her to make changes. So she didn't know how to make the changes, so she had to go back to the Shadow Scholar and ask him to make the changes, and she had to pay him additional money for that. And then she decided, hey, this is a pretty good paper on ethics, and I'm trying to get my PhD in business, so why don't I ask him or pay him to turn this into a thesis? And he did. This woman, somewhere in the world, has a PhD in business and does not know anything about business, doesn't even know how to construct a simple sentence in an email. Unbelievable.
I have so many things to say. First, that I've decided that is one badass name. The Shadow Scholar. Like, he could be like a professional wrestler or something with that name. Second of all, wouldn't it just be easier to actually get the education?
Absolutely.
Like,
let me just say something real quick, Cenk. How many stories have we done about education putting us in debt, about how we want to go to college but we can't afford it? This girl is, this woman is getting a PhD in business. I assume she's taking out loans for it. Why don't you get your money's worth and get that education? Why are you wasting your time? And you know, the Shadow Scholar kind of explains it a little bit. He says that a lot of the people that come to him are either rich kids that are lazy or they are English as a second language students. So, you know, they have a lot of obstacles when it comes to obtaining education. Either they didn't get proper ESL in high school, so it all carried on to college, and they're in a lot of trouble. So there are a lot of different factors that come into play.
Right. Second language, I give a little bit more of a pass on, but I bet you a great majority are rich kids. Because you're thinking like what I was thinking is, why bother getting a PhD? I mean, what are you going to do with it? The minute you walk into somebody's room and you're like, me, PhD scholar, you're gone, right? I mean, what's your point? Why'd you waste all that money? Because not only did you have to take out loans for the school, but you also had to take out loans to pay the Shadow Scholar, right?
Right.
So, and the reason is they want it for prestige. They wanted to be able to tell Mama and Papa, oh, please, I have a PhD, now get off my back and let me sit on my ass. You see what I'm saying?
No, I absolutely see what you're saying. And you know, he actually writes about the rich kids, and he says that he loves when they go to him because they're usually the ones who know exactly what they want. They're the ones who come from rich families, and they know that they're going to grow up to inherit some sort of business, so they know how to boss people around. So this shadow scholar describes them as students who know exactly what they want. They give specific directions. They're just lazy, so they don't carry out what they're supposed to do for their college education. It's an incredible story. And look, before we end this, I want to read what he writes about those who are majoring in religious studies who come to him for essays and articles and things like that, okay? He writes, I do a lot of work for seminary students. I like seminary students. They seem so blissfully unaware of the inherent contradiction in paying somebody to help them cheat in courses that are largely about walking in the light of God and providing an ethical model for others to follow. I have been commissioned to write many a passionate condemnation of America's moral decay as exemplified by abortion, gay marriage, or the teaching of evolution. All in all, we may presume that clerical authorities see these as a great threat than the plagiarism committed by the future Frocht.
That's awesome, too. That's a great irony. And I'll tell you what, look, I was helping my younger nephew with his essays for college, and it's hard to do things right, okay? And so, you know, he does the first at it. I talked to him about why he might need a better conclusion, how he might want to make a transition, etc. And it takes forever. You know what would it be a million times easier? If I was this shadow scholar. And I could write those essays in 45 minutes and we'd be done. It'd be 10 times less of a pain in the ass and those essays would be awesome, right? But then he doesn't learn. So what's the point, you know?
Right. And you know, look, as I said before, you're paying for this education. Please get as much as you can from it. And another thing is, what personally irritates me about this is, people are going to read this article and they're going to think, aha, see, higher education is garbage. People who get higher education are getting nothing. It's all a big sham. No, it's not like that. There are hardworking people out there that are actually working for their grades, that are actually getting something out of their college experience, that are actually getting smarter, okay? I don't want people to think like, college is so easy. You just get by doing nothing. You pay people to write your papers. It's not really like that. I mean, there are obviously people out there that are cheating, but, you know, there are also people out there that are getting something out of higher education.
I don't know if it's a woman thing or something, right? Because both you and Wendy have the same issue. Like, every story is about you, right? Like, this story has nothing to do with you, but somehow you turned into, wait a minute, you better not be devaluing my master's, okay? Okay, and I don't want people thinking I cheated. You worked really hard, and some of my bitches are out here devaluing our diploma. Okay. Right? And like with Wendy, whenever I'm having a conversation with, let's say I found out, we're having a conversation about somebody in the news or somebody we know is cheating or whatever, eventually that conversation is guaranteed to be about us. And you're like, wait a minute, are you cheating on me? I'm like, no, I'm telling you a story about how Brad Pitt cheated on Jennifer Aniston. What does it have to do with us?
I love that. But yes, I am making it about me because I worked hard in college. I don't want people thinking like, college is bullshit. It's not bullshit. People work hard. So, mainly me.
Yeah, I was going to say, by the way, I went all through college without working hard at all. College is bullshit.
You're done, Cenk. Okay, we're taking a break. We're taking a break. No, but seriously, we are taking a break. When we come back, we have all sorts of good stuff for you guys, so don't go away. We'll be back on the Young Turks.
World's greatest teasers.
Out of patience, loving she get, that will be sufficient. I rather wait.
Welcome back to TYT. All right, we've talked about airport security a lot on the show. We've talked about how they're going way too far with, these advanced body searches, with these full body scanners, all of that stuff. Well, we have yet another article that proves that TSA is going too far. So in regard to full body scanners, the TSA swears that they do not store the images taken from the scanners. They swear that as soon as the image is taken and as soon as a security guard or a TSA member looks at it, they dispose of the picture and it's gone forever. Well, earlier this year, the U.S. Marshals Service admitted that they had actually stored 35,000 images at a scanner at a security checkpoint at a Florida courthouse, okay? So that's not news. That is a story that broke earlier this year. However, of those 35,000 images, Gizmodo was able to leak 100 of them online. So the reason why that's relevant is because, yeah, I'm not buying these full body scanners. I'm not buying that they're not going to end up on the internet. I'm not buying that it's only going to be viewed by one person and then it's going to be disposed of. No, it's inconceivable that it's going to work out that way. And I have proof right in front of you right now.
No, she has the proof, okay? She has the proof.
No, and some people who are watching this right now are going to say, it's just a blurry image that vaguely looks like a human being. Who cares? It's not that big of a deal. Look, there are different body scanners, okay? I want to make that clear. So this particular body scanner doesn't look like a big deal. It produces a blurry image. However, we've showed you pictures before where there are some body scanners that produce a very clear image, and you can see clearly what a person's anatomy looks like. So yeah, it's a little problematic and it makes me uncomfortable. And how much are we willing to give up in the name of security? It really, really gets under my skin, and I think it's something that people should be protesting more. But I feel like at this point it's like, we need more national security, so who cares? Let them take our rights away every time we want to travel.
All right, look, there's a couple points here. First of all, the guys who did 9/11 came in with box cutters. They didn't have bombs in their boobs, right? So, and now I know the underwear bomber had it in his underwear. I'd have been surprised if they caught him with one of these anyway, right? And the other part of this is that, look, you could theoretically put this in anywhere. I mean, they happen to do them on the planes, okay, and I get the logic of that, but at the same time, they could put a bomb in a movie theater. So should we go through full body scanners every time we go into a movie theater? And you can extend that logic further. You're almost naked in the body scanner. Can they pull you in an airport and have you strip completely naked? Should they do that for everybody? Right? National security. National security. We just had to see your, whatever it might be, right?
Right.
And those things look blurry now, but look, we've seen some pictures where they didn't look blurry.
Exactly.
And the more outstanding your body parts are, the clearer they'll be able to see. Okay?
Right. But you wouldn't have a problem with that, so don't worry, Cenk.
Oh. All right. That's why I'm most concerned about it. Anyways, no, look, I think there has to be a bounds of reason. And I think that this violates the bounds of reason. And mainly, Anna, you and I were right. When the other people told us, oh, no, just calm down. They're not really going to store these images. We came out on the Young Turks and said immediately, my ass, they're not. Of course they are. They're going to store them. They're going to leak them, just like it's already happened.
Right.
This is the tip of the iceberg. We just got started. And you think that there isn't another room where those images are going with a bunch of guys sitting around giggling? You don't know anything about human nature if you think that's not happening.
Right. I mean, we did that story about the one TSA employee who accidentally walked through the full body scanner, and his coworkers saw it, and they saw the size of his package, and they were making fun of him about it. Do you not remember that story?
No, I do it.
Right.
And they were making fun of him for not packing heat.
Right, exactly. And
You can't win either way.
Exactly. And look, I want to make a quick point about TMZ. And the reason why I bring TMZ up is, how does TMZ stay in business? They stay in business because they get police to leak information about celebrities to them. Let's keep it real. That's what they do. Okay? If, some sort of website wanted full body images of some celebrity, they could easily get, the TSA to leak it. Money talks. Anything can do it. I just don't believe that this information and these images are not going to be leaked. It's a crazy claim by the TSA, and I don't believe it. So,
Anna, the first time we did this story, before we ever knew that they were storing any of the images or leaking them or anything, we said, what's going to happen with celebrities? And look, I'll double down on that guarantee today. Absolute TYT guarantee. If they have these full body scanners at all the airports, you will see so many celebrity scans, it'll be painful.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
If you think you're not going to see any celebrity's body scan, you don't live in this country. I don't. In fact, I think if you live in a cave in Kandahar, you could figure that out.
Right. All right, let's move on to some fun news. ABC just recently did a story about young boys in beauty pageants. And this is a recent trend. In fact, 10% of all contestants in beauty pageants are now males. And I want you guys to watch this ABC News report about it. And I want you guys to decide whether or not this was the choice of the young boy or if it was the choice of the mother. So let's go to the video and we'll discuss it.
Among the glitz and the glamour, the sequins and the hairspray, there are a few contestants on the pageant circuit not quite like the others. They're pageant boys competing for crowns in a girl's world.
I'm gonna win this pageant.
Tracy Miller says her son Xander is one of the best.
I'm always surprised when Xander wins. So it's just like, you put your child in baseball or soccer or swimming. They enjoy doing it, so this is what Xander enjoys.
The 6-year-old from Missouri has been competing since he was a baby.
You get to win a bunch of trophies and crowns.
On the hit show Toddlers and Tiaras,
Anything that pampers Xander, he likes.
he showed off his beauty regimen that includes manicures and makeup.
Oh, we didn't put your clear gloss on your lips.
I have to get on makeup to cover my rashes and boo-boos.
His 3-year-old brother Casey is even competing now. The beautified brothers are among a small but growing number of boys competing on the pageant circuit. An estimated 10% of contestants are now boys, up from 5% just 5 years ago. Some boys take the stage mere days after being born.
I think Kevin did really well. He was awake and wasn't crying.
In some cases, pageant moms admit their sons are filling a void.
When I see little girls, I always think I could turn my little boys into girls.
Stand on the X.
These are my girls that I never had.
But Tracy insists Xander is living out his own dream.
I honestly never thought we would be doing pageants with my son. But he loves it. Everyone loves him.
Pageant boys are just the latest in a recent string of well-publicized reports of boys embracing their more feminine or creative sides. This fall, 11-year-old Tyler Wilson was bullied for being the only boy on an all-girl cheerleading squad.
It feels horrible that they can't accept me for who I am.
And last month, this 5-year-old from Seattle was dubbed Princess Boy because of his desire to wear dresses. His mother has even written a book about it that has ignited a gender feud. The boy is doing nothing wrong except spitting in the face of what is normal, wrote a person on a Princess Boy message board. He will be confused as to what's expected of him as a little boy, wrote another. Ken Corbett, a psychoanalyst who specializes in gender issues, says while it can be alarming for some parents if their son wants to wear dresses, some children just like to experiment.
But we cannot immediately assume because a boy wishes to be a girl that there is a psychological problem. We live in a time when, we have the great good fortune to actually watch these kids emerge. These children have a lot more freedom at this point in time.
But freedom can come at a price. These boys are often subjected to bullying and heartache, like in the film Billy Elliot.
He's got the chance to dance. Now you're telling him not to.
I love you.
Tracy says she's all too aware that Xander's involvement in pageants as well as his interest in ballet and gymnastics has led some to believe he'll one day be gay. But she's determined to let him decide his path.
People will say, he's just going to be gay when he gets older. Well, you know what? If Xander becomes gay, so be it. Anything I do is not going to change Xander.
All right, so she was talking a little...
No, I'm coming in guns blazing.
I know.
I'm coming in guns blazing. Hell to the no. Okay, these pageant moms are sick. Look, I know that sounds really judgmental, but they need to go to a doctor, okay? Because, look, if your son becomes gay later, or he wants to get into pageants, or he wants to wear a dress, and, I don't know what the right age is. I don't know if the age is 12. I don't know if it's 14 or 16. All right, that's a whole different ballgame, okay? I'm not hating on that at all.
Right.
You start entering him into pageants when he's born, and then you pretend that it's his choice?
Yeah.
How the hell could it be his choice? And then he's all the way up to 6 years old, and you're putting makeup on him. And she just flat out said it. She said, I want to turn my boys into girls. No, that's not acceptable.
Right.
And they're not gay. You're doing this. I mean, whether they're gay or not is genetic and has nothing to do with what you're doing with them, but you keep pushing them in this direction that they didn't ask for. No, it's perverse and ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. And look, the mom who said, I could turn my little boys into little girls, that wasn't Xander's mom. That was another pageant mom. And look, do I think that there are pageant moms out there that have sons and they don't have daughters and they wish that they had daughters, so they throw them into, female activities like pageants? Yeah, absolutely. But look, I just want to say really quick, I'm not trying to be judgmental about parents who have young boys and then they put them in pageants. I'm going to be judgmental toward all parents who put any of their kids in pageants. Pageants are terrible. There's so many other things to get your kids involved in. Don't compare it to piano or swimming or dance or anything like that. Pageants are having your kids parade around in front of a bunch of judges that are going to judge them based on the way they look. So that's not a sport. I don't see that as something that is productive for a child's life. And, Cenk's right. If you have kids that, at some point in their lives decide, you know what, I'm interested in this beauty pageant thing, I want to get involved in it, then cool, that's one thing. But getting your baby, your infant involved in a beauty pageant is ridiculous.
Yeah, and look, if at some point, my son comes up and says, hey, I'd like to be involved in a pageant, if he's 16, I'm going to say, hey, of course, you do whatever you like. Okay, I think that's plenty old enough. Forget me pushing them into it. He comes up and says at 6, oh, I'd like to be in a pageant. I'm going to say, here's my idea. No, okay, not even close. Not buying it, not doing it, not letting you do it. When you get a head on your shoulders that I believe can make decisions as a fully functioning human being, then we're having a conversation. At 6 years old, you don't know what you want. You want to be a fireman. You want to be a doctor. You want to be a cop. I'm not going to let you sign up to go into a fire. You're 6.
I know.
Okay.
I have one other quick question for you, Cenk, before we end this. So let's say you don't have a little boy, you have a little girl. If your little girl came up to you at the age of 6 and said, hey, I want to be in a beauty pageant, would you be more lenient toward that, or would you have the same reaction?
I would be 1% more lenient to it, so it would be just hell no instead of hell to the no.
Right. No, I agree with you 100%. Beauty pageants make me super uncomfortable.
Like, look, again, she's an adult. She's into it. Hey, I know a lot of people who are in beauty pageants. I'm not judging that. But when you're a kid, there's no rhyme or reason to it. Hell no. No, and you're right, Anna. It puts the wrong thoughts into their heads. Like, you should be judged on how you look. I hate that, and I've got no interest in my 6-year-old thinking that in any way, shape, or form.
Right. All right, let's take a quick break, and I'm not going to do a tease because every time I do one, Cenk makes fun of me. So we'll be back on the Young Turks.
There'll be other good things coming up.